culture and media, I chose African Americans, and the video I chose was the NWA trailer. And this really talks about police brutality and racism that African Americans face at this time period, and is basically a biography about the African American rap group, and it gives good real life examples of what they went through and how they reacted and lived and everything at that time. I select this because the examples they give and how they show them is very realistic, and we see examples like this still in the media today. And it gives a really good depiction of what they went through and how they had to live and the scrutiny they faced. Um, this group does have some stereotypes because of it was their life and how they experienced it. So throughout it, you may see that all the police to them were enemies. In reality, there was people who stood up for them, but for their life and what they went through, to them it wasn't really the best of situations, and they got a lot of criticism for what they did and how they reacted. Um, they rapped about their life and how they were treated in a lot of this, and you can see this in the trailer that I posted. That even when they weren't doing anything at all, they would get arrested and searched. And in the beginning of the trailer, you see Ice Cube. He was just trying to walk home and gets shoved up against the car and called a bunch of racist slurs. And this shows that even if they weren't acting out or doing anything in that nature, that they still got scrutinized and still got punished for doing nothing at all. There is a bias towards it based off of because it's about the rap group and specifically African Americans. So for them, there is a little bit of bias towards African Americans because it is their life, and it's basically there was really no other side of the story besides of what they talked about and how they lived. Um, this example can inform a lot of people if they do not understand both sides of the situation. It really shows that um, the situations they're faced with weren't the best, and but the way they handle themselves most of the time was very well compared to what a lot of people think they do. Um, Cultural groups in this show us about real life events. Throughout the movie, you see a lot of situations that you may not have heard of, and in the trailer, you can see these situations, and it really shows that there was a bias towards African Americans, that they all were bad. In reality, they weren't. This video and group really influenced my opinion, especially if you have listened to any of their songs before. It gives a really good depiction of what they faced and how they dealt with it, and not even that, just what how they were punished and what punishments were given to them for certain situations, and most of the time they were punished for doing nothing at all. Um, this example it influenced my communication with a member because I think that if you were to sit down and talk to them, you would understand their side and why they said what they did or why they sang about what they did. And I think this would really give you a better view on the other side of the situation instead of having a one track thought. Um, the purpose of this was to really just go to show about the life they lived and a lot of the scrutiny that they face. And I think the strategies to improve intercultural communications is to let those people that have a one track mind try to understand the other side of the story, which a lot of people do in this day and age, but at the time, there was not very many people who would sit down and think about both sides of the story and why they reacted the way they did or the events that happened. They never thought about, oh, well, they did this because of what's happening in their life. They just thought that the African Americans were would act out for no reason at all. But in reality, if you see both sides, there was reasons for what they did, and if you listen to a lot of their songs and you can hear them in the trailer, it was just their life and how they lived, and that's my culture and media.